Whoop. I just quickly wanted to say hi. Feel free to ask any questions if you want to. I, oh, sorry, I do have the stream open in another device. I can check the chat. Also, this is the first time talking for today, so I might be a bit weird at the beginning. So, but I still hope you can enjoy it. think my last portrait of this size was made about 2 or 3 years ago, or even it might have even been longer than that. Oh, what? Oh. Cat emergency. Easy, come on, Tom. Cat just jumped on my water jar. Oh, scared me. I thought my water would be completely getting all over my watercolor palette. But thankfully the cat didn't do too much damage. It's also my first time streaming, I think, ever since I got to adopt the cat, so Izzy is not used to live streaming yet. So he might make a random appearance here and there. I don't know. He usually sits on my armrest of my office chair and watches me paint, so might get to see him. But I think right now he's a bit too scared because of what just happened, so he went to the living room, I think. The hot press paper isn't too forgiving, so I'm working kind of slow. And I do realize that the contrast and color settings of the stream are not too great, so it might take a while for you to see anything. But I'm not too sure if I can change anything about that, because there were no camera settings or anything, and I'm streaming from my phone directly instead of using a webcam or something. I'd love to get into live streaming again, actually, for this year, because I used to stream quite a lot in the past, and I always liked it because it helps me to be focused while working instead of just letting my attention drift from one area to another. But yeah, I had phases where I was a bit shy around people, so I don't really know why I stopped. Well, one of the reasons was by actually because I recorded all my colorings for Patreon, so there was not too much that I could actually stream. But changing up things there as well, so there might be some more time and opportunities for me to stream actually, because I'm home almost 24 hours a day every day, so it's nice to get a chance to talk to people, although I'm the only one talking. Easy. That one. Izzy. I think I might have to get the cat out of the room. Izzy, come. Continuously tries to jump on top of my watercolor palette, so that's not too good. He's streaming right now was a bit spontaneous as well, so the time frame might not be the best for everyone. But yeah, I was just ready to go. Didn't want to wait any longer, and I will plan the schedule better for future live streams. Dankeschön. Ja, auch ein frohes Neues. By the way, I will be answering English questions in English and German questions in German. But as I said, if there's anything you want to ask, you can always do so. So do you like the live streams over here at YouTube, or do you prefer to watch streams on other platforms? I plan to stream for another 1.5 hours, more or less. Um, but I'll be streaming later maybe as well. And I thought about doing Instagram Live instead. But I like how YouTube always saves the live streams directly. But I think it's more easy to access a live if it's a live stream over at Instagram. So I'm a bit torn, but yeah, maybe today is a good chance to try and give both a shot and see how it goes. I'm using my watercolors for now, but I might use poster colors later and color pencils or even markers. I'm not too sure. It always depends on what I need and the situation I come across. So I think I titled it mixed media just for that reason. Because already the line art's been done with color pencil, so it's not only one right now. Also, it might be better to stream on Sundays or Saturdays, so that it's in general a better time frame for everyone. So if I'm doing a planned stream, I think I'll go with the weekend. But if it's something like now where I'm working, why don't stream at the same time? Kind of situation. I'm just not really planning on timing these too much, and you can always watch them later on. It's either no interaction or really a busy stream with many comments. So depending on the situation, might be better or worse. Because right now, I think it's even for Europe a time where not everyone's home yet from work, or like most people. Usually not really talking too much most of the time, because I think I'm only talking like gibberish and random stuff. But I'll try to be better in that aspect. Maybe I'll bring over some friends from time to time to talk. Thankfully, at least the delay isn't too bad right now. I think it's only a few seconds. A few years ago, when I did a couple of these bigger sized portraits, I used mostly markers and colored pencils. So I think I never used watercolor for such a big face. um, so it's interesting. It's a new experience. That's why I'm a bit more cautious about what I'm doing instead of just going wild with the colors. Because it was quite a bit of work to get the liner done. I don't really want to mess up. I need to put down a bit of a base color to the lips and the eyes, or they look like spooky forever. It's a bit less spooky now, I guess. Do you prefer this kind of more chill, just basically watching me draw streams, or do you prefer the kind of where they I can talk about some specific topics, maybe um, get a friend or my boyfriend to join so we can talk and have a discussion or something? Because I don't really mind talking while I'm drawing, so that wouldn't be a problem. But of course, it would be nicer for the stream to be entertaining as possible. Because I'm always having the thought that I'm a bit lame because I'm not talking too much and I'm just working slow. So it's a bit hard to watch the stream. Okay, danke für das Feedback schon mal. I think a reason why I don't really use markers that often anymore is that I cannot get these little subtle neon undercolors like I can with my watercolors, and I really love these. I do have Prismacolor colored pencils that can do like a similar effect to this, but the texture isn't too great for neon colors. They're a bit more waxy, I think. So I did use them, but I certainly didn't enjoy them as much as I do as I enjoy the watercolors, really. But the progress is definitely slower with watercolors. That's an issue. But yeah, I think it's more important to get a better quality in the end than just finishing as quickly as possible. So there are always ups and downs for these things. So you just have to see what you can deal best with. It's actually quite... It's troubling right now. It's troubling for me right now because the colors on screen on my phone look fine, but they do look terrible on my other window I have open for the stream. Hi und danke. My playlist is kind of short, so you might get to hear a few songs a couple of times, but I'm not too sure even if you can hear them too much anyway. You should be, but I never know. I lately like to add bits of neon color around the pupil. No, it's yours, sorry. So to make them pop a bit more. Can later you can't really tell if it's colored in properly, but it gives off a nice effect. Thank you. So right now it might look a bit strange to have neon yellow around the eye, but I promise you that it's going to look better in the process. I always feel like when you work with watercolors, it's 50% coloring, 50% blending out dried edges that don't look too good dried up. It's not helping that my working surface is really slanted, so that the pigment and all the water is collecting, or it's summed up at the bottom. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to work with markers right now to get a bit of more contrast overall, but the paper is still too wet for me to do that. So for now, I'm just laying down some more color variations, adding a bit more warmth to some areas, and some bluish and violet hues to shadows. Because I think I would need to stop the stream right now if I wanted to go in with the markers at this point, because it would take a couple of minutes, maybe like 15 minutes or so to dry at least. But I think that would be too long considering that I only want to stream until like for another hour max. So just going to work with what I have right now for the time being. Can you even see the bits of pink around the eyes, the cheeks, and the lips? I think to me right now on my iPad it looks pretty gray and just like muddy yellow, which concerns me a bit because it certainly doesn't look like that in real life. I have to look up if I can change the settings of the stream for the for my phone. Because the saturation is way off. I started working with these neon colors. I was a bit scared about using them, but now like just throwing them in. And they blend out quite nicely. I was surprised about the quality of these. They were handmade and I got them from Etsy. So it's not like a big brand or something. I've worked with regular highlighters, like neon highlighters, before. So I knew how I wanted to use them, but they're way easier to use than the highlighters. There are some that are water soluble. That's how I got to pick them up. I mean, the highlighters right now. But having actual watercolors is way nicer, of course. And the poster colors also have like this neon pinks and stuff, but they are missing like the yellows and greens and blues. So I was really happy about getting these. I think I got them for Christmas last year, like not last Christmas, the year before. So it's like 2018. And whenever I'm getting like a 12 color set with me to travel, I always pack these in another different box. It's because they're such an essential part of my coloring. And I think I don't have an update on my palette that includes these. I think the update is quite old, so let me know if I should post an update on that if you're interested in these colors. I'm not too sure if they're available all the time because, as I said, they're from Etsy, but they probably be on sale sooner or later again. I don't think they were limited. At least I hope so. I need more. Ich werde auf jeden Fall einige Work-in-Progress-Bilder davon posten, sicherlich. Bei den großen Bildern lohnt sich das ja immer. Dankeschön, wünsche ich dir auch. Darkening these right now because they still look scary the more I look at them. I just don't want to start working on them probably right now because I know that I will need to use my poster colors for them, and they're still packed from my holiday trip to my parents, and I don't know how much they are messed up because usually they get messed up quite a bit during travel. So I probably have to reorder them and clean them up a bit before I use them. So that's for the second part of the live stream today. But for now, as the eyes will end up like a slightly darker purple in the end anyway, that's a good base color. Also, I have this color on the brush. I'm using it in another area. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just mumbling out gibberish because I think actually this is the first time speaking to anyone this year for me besides my boyfriend and my cat because I haven't left the house yet this year. Yeah, so I've never been gifted with good speaking skills anyway. That's why I'm drawing. No, jokes aside, I'm not like the best speaker because the speed of my brain and the speed of my mouth aren't really synchronized too well sometimes. So pardon me for some mumbling and some gibberish in between. I hope that with more streaming I might fix that a bit, but we'll see. Oops. Oops. I always think that the freckles are like some sort of pigment, pigments or like traces of dust. I always want to wipe them away because I had like watercolor pencil breaking off on the paper once, and then thought, oh, it's just a freckle or something, and then added water and it was just a pure mess of color, which was very hard to fix. So that left a bad memory for sure. it slowly builds up. I mean, there's still a long way to go, even for the skin, because it needs a lot more depth. But yeah, I prefer to work in really transparent layers to get like an interesting shimmering color base, and then work in some details later. So sometimes looks a bit confusing, a bit bland for um, for the time being in the beginning, but it will look better with more process. For smaller pieces, layering usually doesn't take too much time because, well, obviously you will work faster if it's smaller. But for this one, as it needs like really meticulous blending and more care, it naturally takes a bit longer. But to me, the difference is really noticeable in the end, and the effort and time spent are worth it. I will post a work in progress photo of it to Instagram like in about half an hour, I guess, after I'm done with the stream. Um, so you can see the colors better because, yeah, I haven't got feedback on this from you, but as far as I can tell while looking at my iPad screen, the colors on the screen don't look good at all. It's just like a big yellow patch here. You can see the lips, but they're quite pale, and the rest is just more or less like a grayish yellow. Which again is bugging me and makes me a bit sad because I think that's the most interesting part of me coloring, like adding all this different subtle hues of color. So it's a shame that you cannot actually see it. It might be better in the recording, but you never know. Oh, Izzy's at the door again. He wants to be inside the room, but I don't want him to jump on top of the colors again. But my heart is weak, so I probably let him in. Just have to take care of my colors, I guess. How can you say no to your kitty? For real. Hi. I always have to be quick with getting back to my chair because he loves to sit on it. He's a quite curious one. He's shy around strangers, but he's very curious. So he just came in, took a look around the room, and left again. Cats. I grew up with a cat, but I haven't been living with a cat for a long time still. So I'm still adjusting to it again, especially as my first cat was mostly spending time outside, and Izzy is just like a pure flat cat. He doesn't go outside. We have a balcony, but that's about it. So it doesn't like hunt in the garden or something. And this character is quite a bit different from my previous cat. But I really enjoy having him around. Ich benutze eigentlich relativ wenig Wasser und ich habe halt immer hier so ein Stück Zewa zur Hand und hier neben mir, sodass ich halt ziemlich das Wasser abtupfen kann. Wenn man dann merkt, dass es zu viel ist, dann kann man dann schnell reagieren einfach, weil wenn man jetzt so eine Wasserpfütze hat, dann trocknet es halt auch einfach nicht so schön an. Wenn man zu wenig hat, dann hat man zu viel Pigment einfach am Pinsel. Und man muss dann schon mal gucken, je nachdem, ob man einen Echthaarpinsel oder einen synthetischen hat. Weil das ist immer noch ein Unterschied, je nachdem, wie viel Wasser die aufnehmen. Also am besten probiert man einfach mal da so ein bisschen rum auf einem Stück, was man sonst nicht so braucht. Und ja, wie gesagt, das mit dem Zewa in der Hand kann ich echt nur empfehlen an der Stelle. Kein Problem. I've just been asked about how much water I use, and I tend to use very little water, and I do have always like a piece of paper towel in my hand so I can wipe off excess water. And if there's too much water, too much pigment on the paper, I can just dab it away. The only way for like getting a grip on how too much water to use is like getting to know your brushes, because synthetic or like real hair brushes work differently. Oh. I evacuated my colors. They were simply not safe beside me. I still have to figure out where to put them because I got a new desk recently, and there's no way to put the watercolor set on it. My previous desk was slanted as well, but it had like a very massive bar of wood at the lower end, so I can at least rest the watercolor set on top of that, which just usually lie right beside me. But this is a glass table, so there's just like a thin metal border at the bottom, which doesn't hold the watercolors too safely, and the set I use is quite big and heavy, so I don't want to risk it dropping off of my desk, because that would cause too much of a mess. It would ruin the colors, and the case would probably break. Because I don't know if you've seen it before, but my watercolor set is quite big, as you can see. um, yeah, so it's a bit hard to place it. I probably get something like an easel, or I don't know the English term for it, but something like musicians use in an orchestra to put their sheets of music on. Something like that might work quite good. I didn't think about where I would put my colors, to be honest, when I got the desk. It's just because the old one was just broken, and I couldn't use it anymore. So I had to get a new one and chose this because I like the setup of it, because it has drawers underneath and like a place to put pens on the right side, which is quite handy. It's just not made for my watercolor set. That's all. So for example, right now there's water like piling up at the bottom, so I just dab that away and everything's fine. It also helps if you're not too sure if you've got enough color or too much color in your brush to just have a spare piece of excess watercolor paper. Like if you're trimming around the edges, save some pieces to test out what's on your brush. And if it's cold pressed watercolor, you can even use it as a like small palette to pick up the colors again, which is kind of nice. Adding a bit more warmth to the cheeks because I like them flushed. I think that's cute looking. I've been overdoing it in the part, like it's been years ever since anybody has told me that, but I used to add a lot of reds and pinks to the nose as well, and it wasn't extreme necessarily, but it was a bit more than the usual, and people kept calling my characters or the characters I drew drunk. Which rude, but I can see where they're coming from. I haven't heard that in ages, so no worries about that, but I still remember it every time I'm adding reds and pinks to the nose. I care a lot less than a few years ago, but still it haunts me. I used to get really offended if people told me that. Just picked up a bit of white watercolor and went over the edges because I thought they were a bit harsh. I will draw them or paint them in later again, but for the time being I like it to look more smoother. Sorry. Line is always a thing that changes while coloring for me. Sometimes it's a bit too prominent, like too much, just, it's just too much. And sometimes it lacks a bit, so you have to redo it a bit darker. But I like it to blend in very nicely, so you can hardly tell it's there. So it's nice to have like sharp edges, like for the face outline. But beside that, I don't really like it if you can see the lines. So I try to erase them, but of course I need them in the beginning to map out where I have to paint. Watercolor can fix a lot actually, and if it's not possible or if it's not opaque enough, I just keep my poster colors near me because they do a good job at like painting over. But I just have them dried up. I don't have like liquid poster colors. So I cannot really mix skin tones too well. So I don't use them for the skin tone. It's just harder to mix. It's not like I don't know how to mix the skin colors, but it's just too hard to get a decent amount of paint ready, really. But I hope that I can like purchase like little bottles of poster color this year, so I can mix some more and use them more overall. Usually, poster colors are not in a dried up state if you buy them. They're just dry because I got them from a friend. He said like, do you need some poster colors? I can like give you a third of each bottle. And I said, yeah, sure, I'd love to. Because I tested them out before and was like head over heels in love with them. But yeah, they naturally dried up because they're just put in a normal palette. And I like to, or I prefer to work with dried up colors. It's just not that good for mixing. It's one of the reasons why I have like a big watercolor palette as well, because I'm not too much into mixing. I just like to have the colors handy and ready. And I mix on paper anyway. I just don't like to get an additional like mixing palette and mix colors beforehand, because sometimes that dulls them up. I'm just like them really saturated and white, vibrant. For example, you couldn't mix these neon colors with various pigments. You just simply can't. So for the others, sure you could, but I just prefer it that way. I think right now is a good time to let the colors dry a bit before working on them again. because the paper is quite wobbly from blocking up because of the water. So I will let it dry a bit and then work on it later after dinner. So yeah, I think I will try for Instagram live for the next stream. So most of you probably came from over there as well. I mean, from Instagram. So maybe we'll see each other later again. And I think for now that's it. As promised, I will post an work in progress update photo of this in a couple of minutes. So thanks for watching and see you later.